Gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here again among such a large and distinguished gathering of political and business leaders. Earlier today, I had the pleasure of meeting President Obama, and we shared our thoughts on a wide range of issues concerning our two nations. Tomorrow, I look forward to addressing the US Congress. India's bilateral relationship with the United States is stronger than ever, and we both agreed that the future would be even brighter. I'm speaking to you at a time when the global economy continues to be weak. Several parts of the world are still facing very difficult conditions. This is a time when the world needs new engines of growth. From the point of view of the world's oldest democracy, obviously, it would be nice if the new engines are democratic engines. I'm happy to tell you that today India is poised to contribute as a new engine of global growth. A larger Indian economy has multiple benefits for the world. Obviously, India presents a large and growing market, but India is much more than a market. India is a reliable partner, a source of high-quality scientific, engineering, and managerial talent, a crucible of development ideas and experiments, an efficient source of high-quality R&D, and a testimony that democracy and rapid growth can coexist. As India embarks on a new era of development, it needs to learn much from America's tradition of entrepreneurship and innovation. America remains at the forefront of scientific and technological innovation, from air traffic control to air quality improvement, from drugs to drones, from hybrid cars to hydrofracking. Indeed, to me, America is not just a country with a great past, it is a country with an exciting future. I am therefore sure that ours will be a partnership which sees both nations benefit. A very unique feature of the Indo-American relationship is the critical role of the Indian-American community in the US economy. It is rare that immigrants from one nation who becomes immigrants in other enjoy such high respect and repute in both countries. Indian Americans are a powerful cementing force in our growing economic cultural ties. I have just completed 2 years in the office. When I addressed you in 2014, I had just taken over the reins of government. We face a particular challenging domestic and external environment. Confidence of investors was at a low. Doubts were being expressed about the future of the Indian economy. The business community was unhappy with the inertia and stagnation that had set in. There was frustration with archaic policies and red tape. In 2 years, we have managed to overcome the odds and register an impressive economic performance. I want to take this opportunity to describe to you the key elements of our policies. I've said several times that my aim is to reform, to transform. For me, reforms are those policies that transform the lives of ordinary citizens. In the last 2 years, we have taken a comprehensive package of reforms which go beyond more economic reforms. I can classify them into 4 types. First, macroeconomic policies to create a strong foundation. Second, policies to stimulate growth and employment through investment and trade and to increase efficiency and productivity. Third, policies to ensure that growth benefits to the poor and the weaker section of the society, including women and farmers. Fourth, a frontal attack on corruption. Let me start with my macroeconomy. Since we took office, inflation, the fiscal deficit, and the balance of payments, current account deficit, have all fallen. GDP growth, foreign exchange reserves, stock market valuations, and investors' confidence have all increased. This success is the result of a series of well-thought-out policies. We have legislated a monetary framework with inflation targeting an independent monetary policy committee to curb inflation. We embarked on a course of fiscal consolidation, and our fiscal deficit has been reduced substantially in each of 3 budgets so far. Even while cutting the fiscal deficit, we have greatly increased productivity, public investment. This has been made possible in 2 years and 2 ways. Firstly, we impose carbon taxes on fossil fuels. We took the bold step of decontrolling diesel prices and thereby eliminated energy subsidies. We then replaced them with taxes. A clean environment says per ton has been increased by 8 times. Globally, there is much talk of carbon taxes, but much of it is just that talk. We have actually acted. Secondly, we have reduced wasteful expenditure through innovative methods and use of technology. Subsidiaries are increasingly credited directly to bank accounts of the deserving with foolproof biometric identifications. Let me now turn to our policies to stimulate growth and employment. This audience is probably aware of the sweeping liberalization that we have undertaken in foreign direct investment. We have put most sectors on automatic approval and opened up sectors like defense and railways to foreign investment. The long-pending insurance law reform was successfully passed. Several insurance companies, including American companies, have already enhanced their investment in the insurance sector. We have taken major steps to increase the ease of doing business and have already begun climbing steeply in the global ranking. We are encouraging foreign and domestic investors to set up high quality and efficient manufacturing facilities. We have greatly enhanced investment in roads, railways, ports, and waterways to improve logistics. We have made major process improvements in our ports to reduce the time taken for cargo to enter and exit. We admire the startup ecosystem in your country. We are making a beginning in replicating it. Our Startup India program has stimulated a new breed of innovators. In 2016, Capgemini has ranked Bengaluru as the 5th most preferred location for innovation centers. It was not even in the top 10 in 2015. For our economy to succeed, we need a strong banking system. We inherited a system where cronyism and corruption were believed to be rampant in banking decisions and appointments to public sector banks. I held the first ever retreat of a prime minister with bankers. We have set up clear performance measures and accountability mechanisms. We are committed to ensuring adequate capital. Interference in banking decisions has ended. A new process for appointments has been put in place under a bank board bureau. Credible and capable bankers have been appointed to head banks. For the first time since banks were nationalized 47 years ago, private sector professionals have been appointed in key positions first time. I now turn to our policies to ensure that growth is inclusive. We have brought more than 200 million people into the banking system through the financial inclusion program called Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. This is more than the population of most countries in the world. Now, these millions are part of our banking system, and words like interest rate have a meaning for these poor people. These people have shown that there is a great strength at the bottom of the pyramid. Believe it or not, accounts opened under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana today have a total balance of almost $6 billion. The Jan Dhan Yojana has also transformed the ability of the poor to make and to receive electronic payments. Every Jan Dhan account holder is eligible for debit cards. India's banks and post offices are also being encouraged to operate mobile ATMs. Mobile ATM is one where cash can be drawn and simple banking tasks done through a handheld device. We have provided a safety net through new social security schemes. We have introduced 3 non-subsidized but low-cost schemes covering accident insurance, life insurance, and pensions. Because of their massive coverage, the premia are low. There are now over 120 million subscribers. We have paid special attention to gender justice into empowering women. We have a new savings program to help pay for girls' education with a special high rate of interest. To relieve rural women from the health hazards of cooking with firewood, we are giving 50 million new gas connections in poor rural areas. Under our new self-employment financing program called Mudra, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, over 70% of the beneficiaries are women. More than 27 million new women-headed businesses have been assisted. We have changed our policies to allow women in combat roles in the armed forces. New rules are increasing the representation of women on corporate boards of directors. Agriculture remains India's mainstay in terms of providing livelihood. There was a tendency to deprive farmers of subsidized fertilizer by diverting it for the production of chemicals. A simple but very effective solution is neem coating of fertilizer, which makes it unsuitable for diversion. We have moved towards universal neem coating of urea. It has already saved millions of rupees of diverted farm subsidies and improved fertilizer availability to farmers. It is an example of how simple reforms can be very effective. We have introduced a soil health card nationally, which tells every farmer the condition of his or her soil. It enables the farmers to choose the best crop and right quantity and mix of inputs. The greatly reduced wastage of inputs and increased crop yield besides protecting the soil. By reducing unnecessary chemical inputs. It is also good for health of consumers. 140 million soil health cards will be issued. This brings me to an achievement that I think even our worst critics do not dispute. This is the change in levels of corruption. For many years, economists and other experts have held corruption to be one of the main constraints on the growth of any developing country. We have taken decisive steps to curb corruption. I have already referred to what has been done in public sector banks. We removed discretion in allocation of key resources and moved to transparent auction of mines, spectrum, and FM radio licenses, and we have purged leakage through direct benefit transfer. We have revamped our personnel management to ensure that senior positions are held by persons of integrity. We have launched an ongoing campaign against tax evasion and black money. The poor are the greatest beneficiaries of the reduction in corruption. Looking to the future, let me outline what I see as a path we will follow in the coming years. Firstly, we will continue to have disciplined and prudent macroeconomic policies. I firmly believe that sound macroeconomic fundamentals are necessary foundation for long-term sustainable growth. Secondly, we will combine this with a continued stress on inclusion and equity. This is to ensure the fruits of development reach not to a few, not to many, but to all Indians. And this will also mean continuing our attack on corruption. Thirdly, we will continue to make progress on improving the investment climate and ease of doing business. We want to make India a destination which not only welcomes business, but where it is easy to do business. We have largely achieved the first by drastically liberalizing our foreign direct investment policies. We have made a good beginning on the second and will continue to make further improvements. We will continue to invest large sums to create a world-class infrastructure. We will continue to strengthen the Make in India initiative. It is not intended for any manufacturing for the domestic market or import substitutes. It is as much about making world-class products and service for the whole globe. That is why, for us, improvements towards free trade are important. It is very important for us that developed countries open their markets not only to goods from countries like India, but also to services. I see this as a win-win proposition for the US and for India. India is the future human resource powerhouse of the world with a young, hard-working population. In my vision, a partnership between American capital and innovation and Indian human resources and entrepreneurship can be very powerful. I'm convinced we can strengthen both our economies through such a partnership. We will continue to make our tax policies more predictable. We have made major strides towards predictability by signing a number of advance pricing agreements with the United States. We are committed to taking this further. At the same time, like the US, we are cracking down on tax evasion and unfair tax avoidance. We will continue to provide strong protection to intellectual property rights in accordance with our newly announced policy. We will continue to open up our defense sector. I'm aware that licensing policies can sometimes slow down the process of investing in India's defense sector. We are exploring a simpler and more efficient project licensing approach for defense. In the field of nuclear energy, we are purchasing 6 nuclear reactors from Westinghouse, which will mark a new era in our nuclear and scientific cooperation. I was delighted when GE became one of the first companies to make a major investment in the newly liberalized railway sector. It is setting up locomotive manufacturing plants in Bihar. I expect many more such investments. The river Ganga has a special significance for India. The Namami Gange program to clean the river Ganga is on the verge of taking off. It will be a big priority over the coming years. This project offers major opportunities for American companies with their expertise in environmental engineering, water and sewage treatment, and the like. This project is a high priority for my government, and our aim is to restore the Ganga to its pristine glory. Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our journey towards a transformed India. A transformed India with 1/6 of humanity will mean a transformed world. The journey will be long, but the progress we have achieved so far convince me that we will reach our destination. I invite you to join us on this journey. It is a journey which offers the exciting possibility of not only building a better balance sheet of your company, but of building a better India, building a better America, and building a better world. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, USIBC and its members have created a special edition coffee table book as a tribute to the Prime Minister's leadership in transforming the U.S.-India partnership and taking it to new heights. Please join your hands together as USIBC Chairman John Chambers, Vice Chair Ed Monser, and President Dr. Aghi present this special gift to the Prime Minister.
Well, Prime Minister, we all would like to thank you for another trip to the United States. We'd like to thank you for your availability, your openness, your willingness to listen. We also want to thank you for the trust that you give the U.S.-India Business Council. We appreciate it very much. Many of us here have traveled to India to vibrant Gujarat conference over the years to listen to you, to hear your vision. And recently, many of us here traveled to Mumbai to Make in India. Again, to listen to your message, to listen to your vision. Thank you. Thank you for the courageous leadership, the courageous global leadership you bring. Your willingness to make and take important positions and then invest your own time, your own energy, your own spirit to ensure those successes. Thank you. Make in India is working. Thank you. Digital India is working. Thank you. Skills India is working. Thank you. But most important, and this is in business measures, and you talked about productivity, and what we see in our employees in India is a dramatically improving productivity. Where does that come from? It comes from many sources, but we all see the hope and optimism that you deliver to the people of India is reflected in the business results. And I must say, your consistent message of hope and optimism for all of us inspires us. Thank you.
If I may have your attention, a couple of announcements, and before we serve the dinner, we do have leadership from the U.S. Congress, and I'm going to invite them to give short remarks, less than 45 seconds each. But before that, I'd like to mention that USIBC, in partnership with India Foundation, is hosting a regrouping of this session in Kashmir on September 23rd, and I think we would invite you to join us in there. And the second is again, Vibrant Gujarat event takes place January 10th in Gujarat itself, and we also invite you to join us in that area on January 10th and 11th. And finally, I think we have committed as part of the Smart City of Ahmedabad to take that forward. And you will see initiative on part of USIBC and its members to enhance and work with the citizens of Ahmedabad to take that forward. But on that note, if I may just ask first, is the minority leader of the House, Nancy Pelosi, to give her opening remarks here before we move on to the next congressman.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the recognition, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and President of the U.S.-India Business Council. It's a pleasure to join all of you and honorees in welcoming the Prime Minister. Since I'm first, they told me the shorter I am, the better example I will be to the rest. So I won't acknowledge all of them because you'll hear from them. But Mr. Prime Minister, what a thrill it is to welcome you to the United States. I have some wishes for the crowd here. I wish you could have heard the speech that the Prime Minister made when we visited with President Obama to India. It was one of the most inspirational speeches ever. I wish you could have heard him then come to Silicon Valley some months later to thousands of Americans from India cheering him on, a completely different speech. And then, of course, this tour de force that we saw this evening. And tomorrow he will speak to a joint session of Congress. Just in offering a toast, may I say what I say to you quite frequently, I thank India for making America more American in two respects. First of all, of course, the nonviolence of Mahatma Gandhi that Martin Luther King learned there helped make our country more democratic, more American. And secondly, what you referenced, Mr. Prime Minister, the Americans here from India, with their determination, their hope, their optimism for the future, their commitment to faith, family, to entrepreneurship, to innovation, they too are making America more American. So let us salute the beautiful friendship between our two countries, from the oldest democracy in the world to the largest democracy of the world. Thank you and welcome, Mr. President.
May I ask the ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Eliot Engel?
Mr. Prime Minister, it is such an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. I last saw you when you came to my hometown of New York City, and we met at Madison Square Garden, and I joked with you then, and I'd like to say it again, that the dream of every boy and girl growing up in New York City is to one day appear on the stage of Madison Square Garden. And I had to wait all these years till I met you on the stage of Madison Square Garden. So thank you for all you've done to enhance the India-U.S. relationship, and thank you for making a boy's dream come true. Cheers.
May I invite Chairman, House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Terrorism, Non-Proliferation and Trade, Congressman Ted Poe.
Prime Minister Modi, thank you for being here. I think you set a great example for democracy and for leadership. I'm from Texas. India actually is bigger than Texas. We consider ourselves the energy capital of the world, because we are. And India, with its 800 million people that are under the age of 35, energy will be a big concern with India. We happen to have the answer. We have more natural gas than we can use. And my philosophy, business philosophy on our natural gas is use all we can and sell the rest. And we want to sell it to India. It's better for us, it's better for India, and it gives you an option that you don't have dealing with some of your neighbors. So keep us in mind as you move forward. Thank you very much for coming to America. We appreciate it a lot.
Thank you, Congressman Poe. May I ask Chairman, House Rules Subcommittee on Legislative and Budget Process, Congressman Rob Woodell.
Mr. Prime Minister, you and I would have first met on that same Madison Square Garden stage. As enthusiastic as this crowd is tonight, you had those folks whipped into a frenzy that would have made Madison Square Gardens proud by any estimation. I represent one of the largest Hindu temples in the country, and my folks encouraged me to go and be with you on that day, and they said, Rob, you're going to find a man with energy and charisma that is befitting of a competitor, and surely we are competitors, and we are the stronger nations for it. They said you're going to find a man with commitment and enthusiasm that is befitting a partner, and surely we are partners, and we are both the stronger for it. And they said you will find a man who is thoughtful and compassionate, befitting a friend. Because surely the United States and India are friends, and the entire world is more prosperous and more peaceful because of it. Thank you for being here. I look forward to your comments tomorrow on the House floor.
Thank you very much, Congressman. May I invite the Vice Chair, House Democratic Caucus, Joe Crowley, please?
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. It's great to see you again. I was proud to welcome you in my hometown in Madison Square Garden here in Washington, and was proud to join with Nancy Pelosi, with Mark Warner, and with Ami Bera, with our president last year when we visited you in Delhi. When I was a boy 45 years ago, India was a mysterious place to many, or if not most, Americans. And today, in large part, and in no small part, because of the Indo-American experience, Indo-America has made America a greater country and are part of the fabric of our great nation today. Despite much of the rhetoric you may hear, we welcome the people of India who have helped make America a great, great nation that it always has been, and a great nation that it always will be. So on behalf of a grateful nation, we thank you, we thank the Indo-American people and the people of India. I believe in this relationship. I've always said that, and I have great hopes and aspirations. This is not the culmination, but a very, very critical moment. Thank you very much.
May I invite President World Bank, Dr. Kim, to give his remarks?
Thank you very much. Prime Minister Modi, we met several months after you became Prime Minister, and we were all stunned at the ambition that you communicated to us. You asked us to clean up the Ganga in 2 years, and we said, well, maybe not in 2 years, it might take a little longer, but it was an indication of what you would demand from us going forward. So to this day, we scramble and look all over the world for innovations and ideas so that we can feed your ambition for your people. It is stunning, and I agree with John Chambers. You're one of the greatest leaders ever, and it's because your ambitions for the very poorest match the ambitions of the poor themselves, and very few leaders have that. It's an honor to work with you.
May I invite Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Ed Royce.
Jai Hind. Welcome, Prime Minister. We first met a day after the earthquake that shook Gujarat, and I led a delegation there with USAID. I remember well you on the ground bringing order out of the chaos, and we saw the results afterwards in Gujarat. And I just thought I'd share with you that many in Congress, as you know, have worked hard over the years for this partnership between India and the United States. And now we have this cooperation on trade, on health, on even space exploration, on security issues. And I want to share with you that because of your leadership, the future of this partnership is very bright indeed. To use your words, it is very, very bright. And so I am just going to share with you that we in Congress are equally committed to the vision that you have laid out, a vision of a partnership that's going to define the decades ahead. Thank you again, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Congressman Royce. May I invite Secretary of Energy, Dr. Ernest Moniz, please?
Well, thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for your visit back to join us and for your extraordinary work to advance the extraordinary relationship between India and the United States. I, of course, am very pleased that energy and climate and environment are a part of that partnership, which you and the President discussed today. But I'd just like to give two anecdotes. One is I had the great pleasure last September to meet the Prime Minister in California to discuss energy technology development. We talked about a coalition of countries to advance clean energy, and that has come to pass. The name it was given by Prime Minister Modi in real time. He said, this is Mission Innovation. We had some rather geeky proposed name, but Mission Innovation cut to the core. And of course, now we have 20 countries committed to this. And I might say in our own country, I think of the very strong bipartisan commitment to advancing the innovation agenda. And I think you were very, very instrumental in moving that for all of us. The second little anecdote occurred last week, again in California, where we hosted the Clean Energy Ministerial, where India has been a consistently very, very strong partner. And as Chairman Royce said, he used the words very bright. Once again, very bright is Indian leadership in lighting the world, and in particular providing that for the poor in India. Last week in California, we heard how an incredibly innovative program where the government is essentially buying down through aggregation the cost of highly efficient lighting, 80 cents per 9-watt LED in the hundreds of millions. This is stunning, and it is something that will benefit all of us, and we thank you for that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Moniz. May I invite Chairman House Rules Committee, Congressman Pete Sessions.
Mr. Prime Minister, much is said about success. It is our hope and my belief that you coming to America with not only the style and the class, but the opportunity to lead for the future will be seen by the American people and by the Indian people and the world as a model of success. Good luck.
Thank you, Congressman Sessions. May I invite the Ranking Member, House Rules Subcommittee on Legislative and Budget Process, Congressman L.C. Hastings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you, and let me thank the India Business Council and all of you, ladies and gentlemen, that are here to have heard the Prime Minister's scintillating remarks. My first visit to India was at the instance of the India Business Council, and I'm eternally grateful to them for that opportunity. I've since visited on 3 different occasions. I had the good fortune of being with a former colleague, Gary Ackerman, and Elliot Engel, who spoke earlier, and we were in the Parliament on the 50th anniversary and heard the original recordings of Nehru and Gandhi. Most impressive, to be sure. After that, we took Air India to Amritsar. We stopped at Bangalore for an air show. We took the train back to Delhi, which was an experience, and we survived the road to Agra. We look forward to your being here tomorrow, sir.
Thank you. May I invite co-chair of the House India Caucus, Congressman Ami Bera.
You know, as an Indian American and a Gujarati American, you can tell how proud I am of the immense strides that the U.S.-India relationship has taken. Mr. Prime Minister, when you talk about the diaspora, you're talking about my story. My parents immigrated in the 1950s, and in one generation, when you look out at the community, the innovation, the strides in healthcare and medicine and technology, and it will take the community coming together and helping lead the U.S.-India relationship, as both you've mentioned and our president has mentioned, to the defining relationship of the 21st century. So let's make that happen. We look forward to that partnership.
Thank you, Congressman Bera. May I invite Ranking Member, House Intelligence Subcommittee on National Security Agency and Cybersecurity, Congressman Jim Himes.
Mr. Prime Minister, coming as I do from New England, the birthplace of American democracy, it's an honor and a thrill to be with you to celebrate with all of these terrific people, not a partnership, but a kinship that exists between two countries that celebrate entrepreneurial values, that celebrate freedom and self-determination, and most importantly, which celebrate and hold dear the values that undergird big, sprawling, messy, multi-confessional democracies. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Himes. May I invite Congressman Tulsi Gabbard, who's on the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Asia and the Pacific.
Thank you very much. Aloha, namaskar, Mr. Prime Minister. We're all thrilled to welcome you back here to Washington on the eve of this historic address before the Congress tomorrow. I'd like to thank you again for the hospitality that you showed to me during my visit to India, a country and whose people I have very high regard and a close kinship to. Our Pacific Command commander has been working very well with his counterpart in India, as well as with Defense Minister Parkar, to increase our security engagements, to add another layer of opportunity to the many that you spoke about tonight and that we'll hear more about tomorrow. Thank you again for coming to join us.
Thank you, Congressman Gabbard. May I invite the Vice Chair, House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Energy and Power, Congressman Pete Olson.
Mr. Prime Minister, namaste. You may recall we met in New York City 2 years ago. You've been now to New York, been to California, East Coast, West Coast, but not the Gulf Coast. I met you in New York. You may remember I gave you a black Stetson cowboy hat. I'm from Texas. There was an invitation in that hat to come to Houston, Texas, oil capital of the whole world, Space City, USA. We have so much in common with India. This great medical center, the Texas Medical Center, the premier cancer treatment facility in the whole world, India Anderson, has the Tata Research Center in Mumbai. My home port, the Port of Houston, has been the #1 exporting port in America for 7 years. And I'm proud to say, working with this Congress, this White House, for the first time in 50 years, we've sent our liquefied natural gas and oil overseas to India. As my colleague Ted Post said, that's good for India, that's good for the world, that's good for America. Now, one request, again, invitation at cowboy hat. Give me your shoe size, I'll get you some cowboy boots. Can ride in at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, come there in February. It's called the opening parade, ride a horse in, you'll be the John Wayne of India. God bless you, thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman Olson. May I invite Senator Dan Sullivan, who is a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee.
Mr. Prime Minister, welcome. It's an honor to be with you here tonight. As a individual who's also from an Asia-Pacific state, in my case, Alaska, it's great to have you here. You're probably seeing with the members of Congress here, you know, there's a little bit of competition. You hear the Texans talking about size. So just so you know, and this is important for you to understand America, but also my Texas colleagues, if Alaska were split in half, Texas would be the 3rd largest state in the Union. So we're a little bit bigger than Texas, 2.5 times the size, and we're probably close to the size of India. But I just want you to know, and you know this better than anybody, we have numerous challenges in the Indo-Asia-Pacific region, but also numerous opportunities. Senator McCain and I just spent the last 10 days out in the region. But there is no doubt that if the United States and India are partners, and we deepen that partnership, that the opportunities will significantly outweigh the challenges. I look forward to your historic speech tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Sullivan. May I invite Chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Senator John McCain.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Welcome. We look forward to tomorrow's speech. I think it's entirely appropriate that you address the Congress of the United States, and it's significant of many things, including because of your leadership, the new partnership that we have between the United States and India. As Senator Sullivan mentioned, he and I just came back from the region, including a conference in Singapore. There's no doubt that there are significant tensions and challenges in the region, which argues for much closer coordination between our military exercises and other ways that we can show our strength and our solidarity in these very turbulent times. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator McCain. I will invite Chairman of USIBC, John Chambers, to give his remarks. Then we close the session.
It'd be so easy tonight just to say this was a great event, and businesses getting closer together, and government leaders getting closer together, and to think incrementally of what we can do over the next year. Leadership in this new digital world isn't incremental. There is no entitlement. And with the world changing at the pace that it is, those countries and those companies who think out of box, think like a startup, think like a teenager can make a difference. I think we all see a leader from India that can capture our minds and our hearts, and he delivers. I think we need to come together as two countries with a different way of thinking. And the businesses not dealing in silos, but dealing in outcomes. Saying, how do we put everybody in America to work and everybody in India? When this Prime Minister outlines a goal, anybody in PR say, don't do that, that's way too aggressive. And yet he makes it happen. So as you exit this evening, think about an entirely different relationship that's ever existed before, with businesses and governments coming together to benefit every citizen. Thank you once again for joining us this evening. We are deeply honored. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
John, thank you very much. Dinner is served. Once again, on behalf of USIBC board members, thank you for coming for this evening. Enjoy the evening. Thanks.